Helljumpers, Chapter 6 Helljumpers. Slow, rhythmic beeping was what Scootaloo heard as she woke up. Slowly opening her eyes, she found Lucy and Twilight sleeping next to each other. As she tried sitting up, she found that there were bandages holding her wings locked to her sides.
Twilight?
Moments later, Twilight could be seen stirring and opening her eyes before noticing that the filly had been woken up.
Oh, hey Scoots. So, how you feeling? A little sore, but nothing I've never felt before,
she answered.
So, how did the operation go? Did they fix my wings? The operation was a success, but you'll have to avoid using them for a while to let them heal and develop properly,
Twilight said as Lucy began to stir and wake up.
Oh, hey Squirt, how are the wings?
Lucy asked as she saw Scootaloo had woken up.
Apparently better than ever. But anyway, when are we gonna meet up with the rest of the squad? The doctors want to keep you for 2 more days to see if any complications arise, and after that, we'll be flown over to a training facility, Twilight answered. But until then, you should get as much rest as possible, but you must be hungry, so we got you some food before Huff.
She levitated a tray of food over to Scootaloo. The following 2 days showed no complications were detected, prompting the release of Scootaloo. The 3 companions were picked up later in the day by Zoe, with her pelican to be flown over to the training site.
You 3 aren't gonna believe what the guys at Oni sent over to the training facility,
Zoe said as the group entered the pelican.
Well, I have no idea, but you look like you're gonna tell us,
Lucy told the hyped-up pilot, sitting down and strapping into a seat, along with the ponies.
Yep, I am. Oh, by the way, Scoots, wanna sit up in front with me? Just don't touch any of the controls.
At which the filly jumped off the chair she had sat down into and sprinted over to the cockpit, being careful not to hit any buttons, and strapped into the co-pilot seat.
But, back to the surprise, Naval Intelligence dropped on us. They didn't necessarily tell us, but when we arrived, we saw a tall, muscular woman, like a head taller than Mac kinda tall, and instead of a name tag, she had a service number on her uniform, SO62. Wait, holy shit, you mean that they sent a Spartan over to evaluate those 2? What's a Spartan?
Twilight sheepishly asked before the 2 of them could go off on a rant.
Massive super soldiers. Not that much known is about them, other than whenever they show up, the Covenant is gonna have a really bad day,
Lucy explained.
And they are rare, like, really rare. Wait, so me and Scootaloo are gonna get training from one of your most elite soldiers?
Twilight asked, amazed that the humans would send what was apparently one of the most elite soldiers they had to offer to train them instead of fighting in the war.
About that.
Zoe chimed in from the cockpit.
Brass decided it was a good idea to run every single one of us through the boot alongside our 2 friends here,
she told Lucy with a sheepish smile.
Wait, so we're gonna run through that shit show again, only this time our drill sergeant is a Spartan?
Lucy asked, now really unamused.
Just the relaxation we needed.
The rest of the flight was filled with discussions about the Spartans and some information about the training. Scootaloo and Zoe went over multiple procedures on how to fly the Pelican, like landing and takeoff. Scootaloo also found the basics of flight principles of the Pelican not really differing from Pegasi flight much when Zoe allowed her to make a few turns with the Pelican. The group arrived at the training site late in the evening, as the site was placed in the middle of nowhere as far out of sight of anyone or anything as possible. After meeting back up with the rest of the squad, the group headed over to the barracks to get some sleep, as they were informed that the next day would be the start of training. June 11th, 0500 hours, Day 1.
Wake up, sunshine!
A man shouted into Twilight's ear. At the same time, the rest of the squad got the same treatment.
Oh, jeez!
Twilight shouted as she was rudely awakened.
No time for screaming, princess! Get dressed and outside on the double!
The ODSTs were already rapidly dressing themselves, but Scootaloo never undressed from her jumpsuit, so she was already groggily running outside. She rapidly got into her jumpsuit and ran outside after the rest of the team lined up in the courtyard. In front of them was the supposed Spartan and a few other people.
Good morning, Alpha 3. I'm Petty Officer 2nd Class Maria 062. For the next 5 weeks, you'll be mine to train and mold into the best I can make you. Our warm-up will be a 10-mile hike. Now move out, recruits!
Over the rest of the day, the group would be pulled through multiple exercises of stamina and strength. Somewhere in the middle of the day, the group got split into 2 and were made to compete against each other in an assault course. The first group comprised of Mac, Woods, Zoe, and Scootaloo, leaving the second group to be made up of Lucy, Tyler, and Twilight. Unlike the course that Tyler had created, this one had sections where ponies and humans split up to get through different obstacles. In the end, Mac's team finished first as Twilight was a lot slower on the obstacle course than Scootaloo. At the end of the day, the group was split up again as the ODSTs were all called over to speak with a few officers. Scootaloo was retrieved by some medical officers to perform some checkups, and Twilight was taken to a field by the petty officer and a few other trainers to perform a demonstration of magic.
Trainee Sparkle, my reports say that you're able to perform several feats of telekinesis, and you apparently have been claimed to be capable of more feats of magic. Is that correct, trainee?
The Spartan asked.
Yes, ma'am.
Twilight replied, although uncertainty seeped into her voice as she really felt intimidated by the massive human in front of her.
Good. In front of you, you'll find several weights and targets. Please use your telekinesis wave ability so we can get a benchmark of your magical abilities.
Twilight nodded and turned to the field, letting her horn charge, although something was wrong. She felt a nagging feeling in her horn as she charged but ignored it and released a wave, slamming into a target, making it fly back about 10 meters. She recharged her horn and repeated the move 2 more times before stopping due to magical fatigue.
Problems, trainee? Permission to perform a magical field scan, ma'am. My mana pool isn't passively recharging.
Twilight asked.
Granted.
Twilight relit her horn to scan the surrounding area.
Nothing? That can't be right, can it?
She relit her horn to re-perform the scan.
This is bad,
she stated after she got the same results as the first scan.
I can't read minds, trainee. What's wrong?
The Spartan said.
The magic field here is weak. Like, really weak. In slip space, it fluctuated, but it was strong enough to sustain pretty advanced spells if necessary. Here, levitation and light spells tops any advanced spells will have to use my personal magic reserves. We'll postpone these tests for the moment, but I want a list of viable spells by the end of the week. Is that clear, trainee? Yes, ma'am,
Twilight replied.
Good. Head over to the mess hall to get some food before evening class starts.
Twilight quickly trotted towards the mess hall so she wouldn't miss dinner. June 19th, 2200 hours, day 8.
8 days of running, and various other exercises. Even Rainbow didn't pull me through a hell like this. I probably should have started recording, a few days ago when they gave me this tablet, but I was just too tired or out to do anything after a day of training. Look, I'll give you a summary of the past few days. So, last Sunday, the training began. The first day was mostly made up of exercises, which every day since has only persisted. On Monday, though, we also started taking classes on various topics, like tactics, identifying enemy types, and other skills that we're gonna need in the field. At dinner, Lucy and Twilight also proposed dubbing ourselves the Shadowbolts. Tyler acted like he disapproved, but when he gave him a rough sketch of the Shadowbolts logo, he started drawing something out on his tablet. The next day, we found out what he drew. I'll attach the picture to this log if I figure out how to. Otherwise, you'll just have to get it from my tablet, which Mac assures me won't be the hardest thing to do. The insignia is a match between the ODST's logo, as the skull and the wings taken from the Shadowbolt's insignia. Mac told us that he would try to get it official, but he also told us not to get our hopes up high, since that could be easily denied.
Well, for the rest of the week we got constantly chewed out by the Spartan and other instructors if we did anything wrong, or if we didn't put enough effort into an exercise. My team did beat Twilight's constantly on the obstacle course, although it's getting much closer than the first try on day 1, as Twilight is rapidly improving due to her Earth Pony magic, apparently.
Anyway, I just hope that the others at home are well. Tavi and Vinyl must be worried sick, and I know Dash is for sure due to the dragon mail. Punishment for breaking curfew by a few weeks is gonna be a bitch when I get back. And yes, I did cuss. No one here to stop me now, is there? Well, I better get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll apparently be training with real weapons for the first time. Who knows, I might even get my cutie mark in this rate. Cutie mark Crusader ODST. Now wouldn't that be a shock for the ponies at home?
June 21st, 2200 hours, day 10. The ponies had their first lesson using live firearms yesterday. The entire day was dedicated to maintenance and proper handling of firearms. Call us surprised when Scootaloo just stood up on her hind legs to pick up one of the rifles. Apparently leaning to stand on your hind legs is something Pegasi do to properly learn how to balance themselves. That said, she's apparently very good at it because Twilight only managed to do it for periods up to 10 minutes before having to fall back on all four legs, but that wasn't too big of a problem since she can also use telekinesis to hold rifles.
In the end, it was decided that Scootaloo should get an SMG since our other rifles were too bulky to effectively carry around her. So, Twilight got a DMR stating that it was better to be precise than to spray with an assault rifle. In the end, they'll have to learn to fire any of the rifles anyway, but the ones they've chosen now are the ones they'll specialize in using.
They also got to choose what they wanted to specialize in. CQB, medical, demolition, etc. And Twilight wanted to become a medic. She liked the idea of keeping everyone alive, and hoped that she would pick up some things that could help her in the future. Scootaloo was actually much more interesting. She wanted to become a pilot, which we kind of expected with the way she acted around anything flying, but since we already have a pilot and flying isn't something you can really learn quickly, it was decided that she was going to do a hybrid course between CQB and flying. The CQB will have a priority, but all of her spare time will be devoted to learning to fly pelicans. It won't make her a full-blown pilot, but she'll be able to fly one if necessary.